Alright, so with Tristan coming out to Global in just a couple of days, he's already out on JP. I thought it would be interesting to sort of see what other Four Knights of the Apocalypse unit we might expect to come out next. Now, this is of course going to be a speculation video, but I have to say the signs might have been in front of our faces the entire time. Now, before we get into it, do leave a like on the video and subscribe if you're new for some more Grand Cross content. But with that, yeah, let's just get into it. Now, before we get into it, I do want to warn you that we are gonna tread into sort of the Four Knights of the Apocalypse manga or the upcoming anime spoiler territory. Now, I will of course warn you when the spoiler part actually takes place. I will show it on the screen, I will, mention it to you, and you can see it in the timeline of the video or the description down below. Now, it's actually not really a big spoiler because people figured out the spoiler. I'm not gonna say what it is, but people figured it out on chapter 1. As soon as chapter 1 released, they already figured it out. But for your sake, if you don't want to get spoiled, I will of course not spoil it for you. So anyway, Tristan was the first Four Knights of the Apocalypse unit to be released. He is an unknown unit, but he is a goddess and a demon character, really. He is, but he's not that in the game. He's counted as an unknown unit, even though his mother and father, Elizabeth and Meliodas, are a demon and a goddess, right? In addition, his passive buffs both demons and goddesses, even though he is an unknown unit. He is sort of a backline unit for that. Honestly, I thought that we would actually get another Four Knights of the Apocalypse unit before, and I thought that he would actually fill the same exact role as Tristan does, but for two different races. Now, I am of course talking about Lancelot. It's not really a spoiler to talk about Lancelot. He is in the ending of the Seven Deadly Sins manga, as well as the anime, or at least I think he's in the ending of the anime. I haven't actually watched the ending of the anime, I just read the manga. But of course, you see Tristan in the final chapter. They even mention or name drop both Tristan and Lancelot in the chapter before that. The final chapter is about Tristan, and then the second part of the final chapter is about Lancelot, and we actually get to see both of them. Now, Lancelot, being both Ban and Elaine's son, is of course counted as both a human and a fairy. Now, what that signifies to me is of course that he's gonna perhaps even be a buffer for humans and fairies, or that's at least what I thought. I actually thought that we would get Lancelot for two reasons, and I'm gonna go over the first two reasons as to why I thought he would be first, but now those two reasons in combination with two other reasons is why I think he's gonna be the next Four Knights of the Apocalypse unit that we see. So reason number one was this tweet tweeted out by Netmarble on the 29th of May this year, just a couple of weeks ago, sort of teasing that the Four Knights of the Apocalypse are coming to Grand Cross very, very soon. They had this tweet where it says 7 Deadly Sins and 4444, and then they tweeted 7 Deadly Sins, 4th in order of age, King, and Grand Cross 4th festival character, Escanor, and Grand Cross 4th anniversary festival character, Ban. That's these three here, and then they say and ... and yeah, they have the Four Knights of the Apocalypse logo, so we kind of figure out, alright, so we're gonna get some Four Knights of the Apocalypse units very, very soon. That's super hype. At this point, I actually thought it was going to be Lancelot. So when it was actually Tristan, I was actually massively surprised. I'm not sure if they sort of just rushed to actually release Tristan thinking he would be more hype than Lancelot, or if they had planned to release Lancelot first and then Tristan, and that's sort of why Tristan doesn't even have any cosmetics. I don't know. His release does seem rushed, even though they teased it weeks ago. But you know what? It is what it is. I still thought it would be Lancelot, and that is for the second reason here that I'm about to show you. So the second reason is something I noted and actually took a screenshot of from the last event tower of trials that we had. It's not the current one that we have, but it's from the last one. It's a specific passive in the last one. I do believe it was on floor 15. I actually can't see that passive anymore. There is currently a similar passive right here, which increases basic stats of allies if they are of the same race. That one was not this, and I don't know if it was one of the hidden ones or whatever. So basically this was the passive. It increases basic stats of allies on the battlefield by 1000% if they are all fairies, and then in parentheses in blue text here, includes additional race applied by unique. Now this is sort of why I thought it would be Lancelot, because I thought maybe he's gonna be a human and his passive is also gonna make him a fairy. We do already have one such unit in the game in the form of Sigurd, who of course is a human, but his passive makes him a demon race. No other units actually have a passive or a unique, as it says, includes additional race applied by unique, other than Sigurd. Now we do have Freya, who becomes a goddess in a very specific game mode through her holy relic. So in Demonic Beast Battle Nidhogger, she becomes a goddess. That way she can benefit from like all the buffs to goddess allies and stuff like that, of course, and benefit from like goddess ally specific buffs to herself. But she is an unknown unit. Now she is also a god, but that is a characteristic, same as Ragnarok. It's a characteristic, it's not a race. She is an unknown race, but she can be a goddess. So of course it's not a new or novel concept, but there are no other like units who are either a fairy and another race or another race and a fairy. I thought maybe, you know, the human Helbram form, the PvP unit might have like a passive or whatever like that, but I looked at Grand Cross database and it does not appear to have that. So if we just have a look, he just has some other passive. No other like Helbram character has that. That's because he can transform as a character like all fairies can. King transforms often, or at least the more powerful fairies, I guess, in lore. I'm not sure if you have ever seen Elaine transform or not, but it doesn't really matter. There are no units, at least to my knowledge, please correct me if I'm wrong, I haven't really looked this up, but at least to my knowledge there are no units who are also fairies, so why they would word that passive like that to include additional race applied by unique when it actually buffs fairies is strange to me, but it is what it is. So that's sort of the second hint that I thought it would be Lancelot, but that I'm now thinking the next Four Knights of the Apocalypse unit will be Lancelot. Now we are of course gonna go into the 2 other reasons, or maybe even 3 other reasons. I'm not sure how we're gonna split that up, but we'll just jump straight into it. So the third reason I think is gonna be Lancelot is of course gonna be the kit change or the buffs made to Transcendent Ban or Light Ban. So basically before he would only buff like 7 Deadly Sins allies, right? Or whenever 7 Deadly Sins allies attack, they will sort of apply a debuff to the enemies. They will also take 20% reduced damage, all that good stuff. Now they changed it to applicable allies, and the applicable allies are 7 Deadly Sins, fairies, and humans. Now, it being humans isn't a surprise to me. Ban is a human, of course, so he will of course buff humans or whatever. We actually thought he would be a human buffer rather than a 7 Deadly Sins buffer before he came out, but that's another story. But the interesting part here is he buffs fairies. Now, of course, you might say, yeah, this is sort of the thing they're going with like Ban and Elaine, humans and fairies sort of coming together or whatever. The theme of the 4th anniversary is. But that's pretty interesting because that means that, of course, Lancelot, if he's gonna be the same as Tristan, where Tristan buffs demons and goddesses, Lancelot might buff humans and fairies, and then we also have Ban here, who's buffing humans and fairies. And you see where I'm going with this, like Lancelot might be a backline unit for Ban. They might have decided to not release him because of the changes made to Ban, which might have made Ban, or the teams Ban can be in, just too broken. So they released Tristan instead, and Tristan doesn't have all his cosmetics for whatever reason, which just feels like a rushed unit. Like Xena, the free collaboration unit Xena, doesn't have all her cosmetics because it's a free unit or whatever. Usually you can just buy the cosmetics in the shop for real money first, and then you can buy it for diamonds. Not for collaboration units. It is what it is. She's a free unit, no one cares. That she's not really that usable, right? She's not really a PvP unit anyway, you don't need all that CC anyway. It's kinda nice to get the stats for PvE content, but you don't really need it. But it's weird that Tristan doesn't have all of his cosmetics. Like, you can't buy them for money, you can't buy them for gems. Maybe they'll release them in the future. I really hope so, because some old units don't have like all their cosmetics yet. So I really hope we can get all his cosmetics, especially since he's a backline unit. That's weird. But perhaps Lancelot would have been the one to be released first, but for whatever reason they decided to release Tristan because Lancelot would have made Ban or the Ban team way too broken. Perhaps if he buffs humans in any significant way, then you'll have like a human backline unit. You'll have Ban, the one ultimate, Awakened Roxy, you have Rudius, the new collaboration unit, and the human units perhaps would have been way too broken. Now, of course, with Ban being part of the human team, if you want to go that route, you lose out on like 10% attack related stats by not having Ragnarok Ban in the back. So a Lancelot human buffer would have been nice to have in the back, but whatever. It is what it is. But you know what? The changes or the buffs to Ban, which you haven't gotten on global yet, this is still like the old passive, which only buffs 7 Deadly Sins units, is of course a reason why I think the next Four Knights of the Apocalypse unit is gonna be Lancelot. Now, another reason, as you can see, he has a hairpiece here which is remarkably similar to the one Lancelot has, and is in fact even called Lancelot Fashion. I mean, yeah, that might just be a hint or whatever, that, or just a homage to Ban's son, but it's just strange, you know. And also this sort of haircut does sort of look very similar to the haircut Ban gives Lancelot, even though it probably has nothing to do with it because it's part of, you know, this martial arts set. Even though it's called Fighter's Confidence, I'm not sure why Lancelot was given the haircut. I can't remember. Did you think he looked too much like a girl or whatever? I can't remember. It's been so long since I read that chapter. But anyway, the haircut is a little bit of a reason, right? All these things combined do sort of make a pretty compelling reason as to who the next Four Knights of the Apocalypse unit might be. Now, and this, we're actually gonna tread into spoiler territory right now. So I am actually gonna warn you about this. I'm not even gonna show you how you can find this out. So if you're not interested in the spoiler, do check the timestamps in the description. You should see a time code on the screen right now to where you need to skip to in order to not get spoiled. It's not a super big spoiler, but anyway. So, with anyone who didn't want to get spoiled out of the way, the final reason I have why I think it is gonna be Lancelot is from the new human buffer card set that we got, which is this one. It increases human allies' max HP and reduces their damage taken from single target attacks. So if you just have a look at the cards here, so we have Ban here as one of the cards. The second one is Ban and Elaine. The artwork is this one right here from the cutscene, pretty standard. Then we got some special cards that were drawn by the mangaka. So this is one of them. It's just Ban and Elaine with his autograph, right? And the second one is Tristan. And we actually got a Tristan unit. So maybe it was planned all along, I don't know. His release just feels rushed. His passive where he buffs demons is kind of bad also, like it doesn't feel well thought out. And then we have this image right here. And this image is actually, and I'll go into JP again. So if you have a look here at the second Hawk Jump Box event, we are gonna notice, yeah, you can get some new units, but you're also gonna get their skins, and these are remarkably similar to, you know, the image of, these are gonna be the cutscenes, of course, but it's Ban and Elaine, which is basically this image right here. Now, what else do we see in that image? Well, if you look down in the corner there, you can see Sin. Now this is the spoiler, of course, because if you're still watching this, you know that Sin is Lancelot. He is a fairy, he can transform. We've seen this in the Grudge of Edinburgh movie also, where he transforms into like a smaller, no-named fairy or whatever. He has the transforming power, same as King, same as Helbram, and him also being here. Those sort of indicate that either we're gonna get this form of him, or, and more likely, I believe, the one we actually see in the beginning of the final chapter of the Seven Deadly Sins, where he actually has that a little bit longer hair, where they're talking about how he looks like a girl. He also has that haircut when he's fighting Tristan in the Grudge of Edinburgh anime. They're like sparring or whatever. He has his spear, whereas Tristan has a sword. And I think that is the Lancelot we are gonna get. So yeah, spoilers aside, there are no more spoilers, but those were the 4 or 5 or whatever reasons I think we are gonna get Lancelot as the next Four Knights of the Apocalypse unit. I'm not sure exactly when we're gonna get him. Probably in a couple of months time or whatever. He might even be a free unit. He might be a 600 gem banner unit, same as Tristan. We don't know, but I think the evidence at least points towards it being a Lancelot unit. So many of the things that are right in front of our eyes sort of point towards Lancelot coming out soon. I don't know if Netmarble are just teasing him, or if they're just using him as like a promotional material or whatever, but they're at least preparing for his arrival with that passive, with the wording of that passive that was in the last event Tower of Trial. But yeah, those are my thoughts. Let me know down in the comments what you think. Do you think we're gonna get Lancelot next, or do you think we're gonna get someone else next from the Four Knights of the Apocalypse? I'm not talking about the very next unit being Lancelot or whatever. It might be a 7 Catastrophes unit or a Ragnarok unit, that doesn't matter, but the next Four Knights of the Apocalypse units I think will be Lancelot. So yeah, once again, let me know what you think. Do you think I'm wrong? Do you think I'm reading too much into it? Also let me know. But with that, I think that's gonna be it for me. Hope you liked the video. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a most wonderful rest of your day, and yeah, I guess I catch you in the next one. Bye.